stage is set, all engines go. Welcome to the angle. Let's start the show. Hold on tight, the stage is set. Dig in deep with no regrets. Red and green bars leading the way. Welcome to the angle. No time to delay. Markets rise and markets fall. Atomcash is ready to answer the call. While the bulls charge hard and the bears dig deep, the angle will keep you on your feet. Hold on tight, the stage is set. Dig in deep with no regrets. Red and green bars leading the way. Welcome to the angle, no time to delay. Cashing in on the highs and lows where the wind of fortune constantly blows. No looking back, keep your eyes on the prize. Fuel the run with a fire that never dies. Hold on tight, the stage is set. Dig in deep with no regrets. Red and green bars leading the way. Welcome to the angle, no time to delay.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the most entertaining, intellectually stimulating financial podcast in the entire world. You're watching the Atomcash Angle, the show that flips the switch and floods the system with straight financial voltage. I'm Adam Cash, and I'm bringing you the firepower your financial life may have been missing. Now, whether you're new to trading or a trading savant, I am to turn complexity into clarity with a shot of adrenaline. And it is a beautiful day on the stock market. The market is up 10 points in the pre-market, mostly due to NVIDIA's earnings, which we're going to touch on a little bit later in the stream. Make sure you stick around for that. We got a lot to talk about, honestly. But if you haven't already, not right now because you're live watching me, but make sure you watch that video I uploaded on my channel, the last video I uploaded. It's all about why I think the market will actually rally into the end of the year, why 700 is still my price target. And if you follow me on X, I actually called the bottom for the stock market for the year this day, on the 18th. I said that is the bottom for the year. As long as NVIDIA didn't stab the market in the heart, it did not. Here we are. I think the bottom is in now. I've got a lot to talk about. We're going to get all into it. Make sure you stick in. Do me a quick favor if you haven't already. Drop a like on the stream. If we get to 15 likes over on YouTube, we will make this stream go to at least 11 o'clock. We'll get a nice extension stream. So before you go anywhere, while you pop this open, while you click the link, make sure to drop that like and then pop me in your pocket. If you're at work, you can listen along or whatever you may want to do as you're watching or listening to the program. Now, before we get too deep into the market, we're going to obviously take a peek at what's going on in terms of any additional possible catalysts after a wild and crazy, wacky, waving, inflatable, arm flailing tube man kind of open that we're looking like we're going to have. This morning at 8:30 a.m., we had non-farm payroll as well as jobless claims. So obviously that news has already disseminated the market, adding a little bit more fuel to the fire really here. So we've already got a roaring fire. Then we threw gasoline on it. Then we threw kerosene on it. Then we threw propane on it. This is a rip-roaring fire right now. So there's a strong possibility of a gap and go day. As long as the bulls show up, there could be some profit taking obviously at open. But this could lead to a very, very strong another snapback rally on the market. Now, for the rest of the day, though, we do have a Fed speaker. We have Hammock. I think is how you say his name. He's already spoken. Let me just double check he's not still speaking. Okay, he's not speaking anymore, so my apologies. Remove that. But we do also have existing home sales at 10 o'clock. You're going to want to keep an eye on that. Fed Cook speaking at 11. We have a White House press briefing at 1 o'clock. Hopefully that doesn't poo-poo on our day, so keep an eye on that. You also have Goolsby at 12:40 as well. Outside of that, it's looking like a pretty clean day. So really the midday, which is typically where we see the market get taken advantage of, is where there could be some potential catalyst there with the White House man, I can't say that word today for some reason. Press briefing, as well as a Fed speaker. So around that 1 o'clock time frame, starting like 12:30, maybe if we've had a strong rally or something like that, or even if we fall down, right, maybe just take that with a grain of salt. That time, just be a little bit more on your toes if you're day trading, is what I'm trying to say. Leading into tomorrow, looking at our Catalyst Watch for tomorrow, we have PMI that's supposed to come through at 9:45, as well as Michigan sentiment. Outside of that, we're pretty clean into OPEX. As a reminder, tomorrow is also OPEX, so you're going to want to keep an eye on that as well. Today's going to be a big day. You're going to see a lot of money shuffling around. We saw it yesterday. You're going to see it today, and you're going to see it tomorrow. Leading into that end of year OPEX, what we see with December, a lot of money is going to be moving around. So make sure that you are on your toes, especially if you are a day trader. Good morning to Omar, Hatchet, and Beastwood in the chat. Beastwood saying he's got me in his pocket. Let's go. Cocaine bear situation. We're going to see. And Toby's dropping the what's up, Toby. Hope you guys are doing well. Now, real quick, before the market opens, I want to give you guys an update. So this is SEMrush, and I spoke about this stock specifically on the program about 3 months ago. And yesterday, we have buyout news from Adobe. It has gapped up. Now, me personally, in one of my accounts, I was unfortunately stopped out of this position because I was risking the lows. I was stopped out. However, I did have some shares of this in my IRA, which I'm very happy to hold now, as we gapped up 74% on the buyout news. This is the third or fourth buyout going private company that I've called in the last year. You want to always pay attention. The reason why I'm doing this, I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but I'm trying to highlight the possibility to you guys when the markets come down, when we see sharp falls in some of these names that have an established business, especially, well, now this has changed now, but now it's trading at a roughly almost a 2 billion market cap, especially when that market cap drops dramatically. There are opportunities with good brands that have good branding where they actually could get bought out. These are the kinds of names you want to hunt for, you want to sniff out, especially as Adobe has been looking into expanding more into their marketing AI side of things. That's a really solid fit with SEMrush specifically. Now, obviously, I'm not going to say I predicted the future that Adobe specifically was going to buy out SEMrush, but I did think that this company was strongly undervalued, at when I first brought it up on the program at $7.22. So since then, we have now had a nice gap up to 74% on this stock alone. So congratulations if you decided to take a peek into SEMrush. And again, that was 3 months ago. There's a video on my channel if you want to go back and look at that and look at why I decided to get into SEMrush. So congrats to you guys if you decided to go long on SEMrush. A nice 74% gain on equity on that buyout news. Julian dropping the morning and Neegum dropping the good morning. Good morning to all you guys. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Other names I want to highlight to you guys this morning. I don't think I spoke about this one on the program, but PAX, dear goodness gracious. This is a name where I was originally long and got stopped out around like $7 to $10, right? I opened up a spread, a put credit spread on this name. It was a $10 to $12.50 spread. And now it's going to be worth $26. In the last few days, this has been insane. And the reason why I'm bringing up this company specifically, now it's up 55% in the pre-market off of reporting earnings. The reason why I'm bringing up this is it's going to support my thesis that we're going to see, or could see, let me pick my words carefully, we could start to see some rotation into healthcare. This is one of those companies that I thought was beaten down pretty good. Like in general, you look at the chart here, it kind of kicked around here for a few months. It was beaten down pretty good, but the reason why I'm bringing it up is to, and I'm trying to get through as much as I can before the market opens. The reason why I'm bringing it up is to keep an eye on these healthcare companies that are interested and looking towards working within AI. I think that's the next step if you're seeing money rotate out of like these higher growth AI names that are mainly talking about how they're going to support the ecosystem of AI, or specifically just powering AI, and look towards the more practical use cases of AI and of these companies that are beaten down, especially in the healthcare field, because I think healthcare in general is undervalued right now. This is one of those names that was a big win. At least I'm going to have a win on the credit spread, not on equity, unfortunately. But that's why I'm highlighting it to you guys today on the program to keep an eye. And this is an example of what I was talking about. That's why I wanted to bring it up to you guys, that I think we're going to see a lot of movement into healthcare in general, a lot of money flows. So keep an eye on that, as I think that is the next big real bastion of the next wave of AI in general. Looking at the market in pre-market right now, we're just about at market highs. Now, I will be following these two stocks today, specifically Wolf and Coors, as I am long on them. And also, I have a swing call on SPY 673s I'm keeping an eye on, so that's why these are up here, just so you guys are aware. But we're going to keep an eye on the SPY today. Obviously, I'm looking for a gap and go. So what we're going to see is two possible scenarios today. We could see a gap and go scenario where we just hit the open and we just melt to the upside. This is great. So if we break this 673.95, there's not another LOI all the way up until 678.47. That hard move could be supported by a VIX that needs to drop at least to like 17.5. So we could see a strong decay in a VIX, support a gap and go movement on the SPY. Now, counterpoint, what is the other scenario, right? The other scenario is worst case scenario, a gap fill, which I don't foresee happening. An $11 gap fill to the downside would be frankly insane. It would be pretty crazy. I don't see that happening. However, back testing that very important dark, you see the red line on my chart, that's 670.23. That's my big bull bear line, right? Coming all the way down through a few of these LOIs and testing that before going higher. You can even see in the pre-market how this acted as a significant area of price action as well. When we first broke over it, retested it there, came back up, back tested before getting a strong rally right on time with the 830 catalyst as well. So this is an area that could be very well in play today. You're going to want to keep an eye on that very specifically. Eddie in the chat, drop in the euro. Let's get some euros in the chat, everyone. Oh, there we go, cool. Get my, whatever pirate your mateys. But where we're opening on the SPY today, specifically, because we got about 1 minute until market open, it's going to be in this range here. So you're going to want to be a little careful. You could get a little choppy in here just because you have 5 LOIs and a $1 range here. So that's a lot of significant price points, excuse me, in such a short time frame. So you're going to want to be a little careful on the open. Don't necessarily rush it. Obviously, it's a strong gap up, but wait to see. This is your big trigger point for an upside move. That's 673.95. Okay. I think I got through everything. Whew. That was a quick one. All right, guys, wherever you are, before we get too deep into the market, before the market opens, do me a quick favor, whether you're watching on YouTube, Instagram, X, Twitch, Kick, interact with the stream in your favorite way. Drop a what's up in the chat. Drop a you're in the chat. If you're watching on YouTube, do me a favor. Drop a like on the stream. When we get to 15 likes, we'll extend the stream to at least 11 o'clock. And on top of that, if you haven't already, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Once we hit 500 subscribers, this will be an everyday show. So if you want the show to happen every single day, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. Share it with a friend. I appreciate your support for this program. I know your eyes and ears could go anywhere, but they're here with me, and I appreciate it. And I'm going to put on a hell of a show for you guys, as I always like to do. Now let's get ready to start the day.
The market is about to open. It's time to start the day.
Alrighty, we're about to open the market right now, right at 672.99, looking like our market open on the SPY. So we're going to watch this very, very, very carefully. This, like I said, we're in a tight cluster here. That POC from pre-market is right around 673.16, so you're going to want to keep an eye on that as well. So a lot of important price action right here. Again, there's a possibility of getting yanked down to that 670.23 before getting a continuation. However, in a perfect world, we see a gap and go. This is your trigger point. if you're a bull or if you want to stay long, be long, whatever. 673.95, you need that to break. That breaks, we could melt up pretty strong to 678.47. You're also going to want to keep an eye on the VIX. Like I said before, VIX needs to drop and can drop at this juncture to basically, I can't even get on my chart. Here we go. 1750-ish, down here in this range between 775, 718. That's where VIX really realistically could decay. Its first pit stop is 1830. You are in this wide range, so if you're a bear, you want to break over 2030 back to the upside. I don't foresee that happening. I'll make that abundantly clear. I'm looking for that 1830 as my first VIX trigger to strongly push into decay. Market getting a little bit of a bid here. We're just going to watch this for now, I'm sure. Let's check the IV. Actually, not as bad as I thought. So right now, your rolling 52-week IV is 14.99. IV percentile is only at 20%, while our at-the-money IV is sitting around 20% as well. So actually, IV is, all things considered, not awful. Excuse me. Just broke pre-market high, leaving a wick as of right now. So nothing too crazy at the moment. We're going to keep a tight eye on this. Let me just check my other things I got kicking around here. Make sure I'm not missing anything insane. A lot of good motion. Like I tell you guys, I like to take a peek at all of my long equity to get an idea. I do, as I've said many times, we look at SPY, look at Qs, we look at IWM, VIX, VVIX, RSP, and then my own portfolio to kind of give me a full picture of the health, I should say, of the market, how I think the market will behave, is behaving on the day. And so far, we have a pretty picture. we're looking good. We need to break here, which we haven't done that yet. But if we break this with volume, we should melt up. Now, I'll tell you guys right now, full transparency, I probably won't chase the long because I already have long exposure. You could obviously play a 0 day if you wanted to, if we get that. It's really out of character for me unless we come up, we break it, we go up, we back test it, and then I'm more interested in playing it. So if I do play a SPY long, I'll look for the break here, a back test, and then depending on volume and technicals, that's where I would consider a day trade, if I consider a day trade on the SPY. Looking at the Qs right now at 611.09, kind of a similar setup here where we topped out on the Qs in the pre-market right below a key LOI. So very similar to SPY, like I just alluded to, for these two to move in conjunction with each other. We need to see 613.18 break on the Qs. Excuse me. Can you believe I'm still recovering from being sick? It has been like 19 days and I'm still getting over this thing. It's crazy. IWM hot out the gate. This one was beaten down real bad. It's still not there yet. It needs to get over 242.39, so it's got $4 to make up. Could that happen today realistically? It realistically could. Like I talked about in the past with IWM, it's not uncommon to see like a big 4% day on IWM, especially if we see a lot of shorts getting squeezed, which could be a realm of reality that we live in today, assuming volatility moves down, as I've alluded to, and assuming we can get SPY and Qs, over those key levels today. That would be the most bullish outlook that we could have at the moment for a strong reversal on the market, a strong continuation. We're actually seeing, I was just looking at my price here, NVIDIA failed the 195.62, which is actually not a bad thing. I'm going to tell you why. Although NVIDIA did push up in the after hours and pushed up pretty considerably, dropping here in the open could be profit taking, of course, but it's actually not bad. All things considered, because guess where the SPY is? It's not dying on a vine comparatively to NVIDIA right now. It's actually looking really healthy. And I think the way the market is interpreting this information, especially with the IWM pushing up, is a big catalyst is now out of the way. Uncertainty has left the market. So whether, and this was part of my thesis too, whether NVIDIA reported good, bad, or indifferent, it doesn't matter for the stock market, mainly because the uncertainty has left. Markets do one thing, and I've learned this very painful lesson over the years, and I'm trying to share it with you guys right now. When the market is uncertain, I don't care if you're a bull or a bear, uncertainty makes the market bearish. When there are more potential catalysts up or down, the market doesn't like that. The market likes certainty. The market wants to know that there aren't any outstanding issues, know that there isn't, the rug may not get necessarily pulled. That's why, especially when a good example of this is when we saw the tariffs in April. That was almost like a symbolic rug pull in a sense of, hey, we're doing tariffs on China out of nowhere, bang, bang, right? And the market got spooked. especially for the amount, or 100% or whatever, right? Ridiculously high amount, that spooks the market because it's uncertainty. So anytime uncertainty leaves the room, so to speak, the market tends to go up. Wow, Google has broken 300. I didn't even notice that. Is that, whew. Google 30150. Dear goodness gracious. This is now a $3.6 trillion market cap company. Yeah, these daily charts on Coors, on Wolf, like a lot of these, like, I don't want to say meme because they're not meme names, but a lot of these Bitcoin mining companies that are now retooling their company to support AI infrastructure are looking pretty good. And there's a lot, specifically with Coors, there's a good gamma squeeze possibility here. If you can get over my trigger, if you can just go a little bit higher, 1681. We got that in the pre-market, so if we can get over pre-market highs on Coors, we should see a nice sustained rally, so keep an eye on that. Toby saying, Google is my goat. Google's been a goat, my friend. It really has. It's been doing good. So we're watching the VIX today very tightly because this is going to help drive that positive, I want to say the positive feel for the market, right? So we moved down, we gapped down on the VIX, and now we're just kind of trading sideways. So for those of you that like shapes with bear flags and bull flags, we want to essentially see, we're not even getting the, as I like to call it, the lowercase h, where you see it come down and then come back up, retest like a 50% retracement, come back down. You're not even getting that. You came down and now you're grinding down. If we break down again, that's going to be very bearish for the VIX. So volatility will, again, it has that strong possibility of getting a crush here, especially in this range. Even dropping $1 on the VIX is going to be a massive move for the stock market. And we're tapping the trigger again. 674 even, high a day. Remember that 673.95 is going to be your trigger to the upside on the SPY. It will not be an easy break. Just be aware of that. However, like I just said, the VIX is there to support this move if we can get it to come down quite a bit. Other thing to keep an eye on is your VVIX slowly moving down to the downside. So this is a good scenario where we can compare VVIX and VIX. Remember, VVIX is your volatility of volatility. So it measures how volatile the VIX is. Consequently, if VVIX is going up and VIX is going down, that could indicate that volatility could whiplash the other way. If they're both moving together, in this case to the downside, this is saying that the market is more certain of the directionality of the VIX, meaning the volatility of volatility is going down, so the odds of volatility reversing are lower. Consequently, whatever direction volatility is going at that point in time should sustain, assuming that the VVIX doesn't go back to the upside. So that means that the VIX should continue to grind to the downside. We should see a sustained push. We should see a gap and go on the market today, assuming we break this level. So a lot there, I know I just said, but there's a lot of good stuff there in general. Beastwood saying, I never thought I'd see the day you dabble with Bitcoin miners. I'm here for it, man. That should be a sign for you. Now, to be clear, I'm not dabbling with them for the crypto exposure. I'm dabbling with them for the AI exposure. So it's very different. For those of you that don't know, I two things I hate trading: Chinese names and crypto names. Hate them. I will do them every once in a while if it fits my narrative, of course. Like these two names will fit my narrative right now. But typically I don't have the best luck with those names. So I typically don't like to trade them. But if it fits the narrative, if the trade's there, if the setup's right, then we're going to take it. You know what I mean? Guys, if you haven't already, make sure you stick around, or make sure you lock in to stick around, because we're going to talk about NVIDIA's earnings just in a little bit. We'll wait till the market cools down. We'll probably go like 9:45-ish, and I might highlight a name or two that may interest you. So you're going to want to stick around for that if you want a potential trade idea. What could it be? Let's see. We got 10 likes on the stream so far. 10 likes. We need 5 more likes on the YouTube channel. If you haven't already, go over there and drop a like. If we get that 5 more likes, we get 5 more likes, then we will extend the stream to 11 o'clock, an extra 30 minutes at least 11 o'clock. If we're on a roll, we'll keep rolling, but at least 11 o'clock. So if you enjoyed the stream, you want more content today, do me a favor, drop a like on that stream. Also, we're going to be doing a stream tomorrow as well. Same bat time, same bat channel, 9:15. We'll be doing another stream, and in the Discord, I'll be doing a power hour stream, more than likely today or tomorrow, one of those days, and maybe another stream as well. So if you're not already in the Discord, you have any interest, check out the link in my bio. You can join our Discord. You got me, Exclusive Trading, and Grumps himself, masters of their craft. They're fantastic traders and chartists, artists of their craft, very good at what they do. And together, we offer a very unique proposition of 3 people who do things a little bit differently, which gives you a smorgasbord of information that you can pick and choose what you like, which is pretty cool. So if you like the idea of that, you want more information, feel free to check out the link in my bio. SPY has now triple wicked that LOI. That's not a good sign. As I said, it's not going to be an easy break. But all things considered, on a strong gap up on the SPY and not seeing it get yoinked down, right? Not seeing a bunch of profit takers come, which we did see on NVIDIA, right? We came down a bit, right? But not seeing it get more bearish out the gate is a pretty good sign. Again, I'm not overtly a bull here until, well, I am a bull, let me make that clear, but I'm not a bull on the day specifically until we can crack over this level. That's the spot you need to watch right now. Toby says, OPEX power hour stream, so a full port stream. Yeah, that's the kind we're gonna do, Toby. Full port power hour streams, only 1 penny contracts. Looking to flip for multiple pennies, that's the goal. Heavy sarcasm, because someone out there is not going to catch on that sarcasm. It's heavy, heavy sarcasm, and I have to say that because there's times where I've said things and people are like, but you said... No, sarcasm, it's a joke. Haha, funny joke. Okay. Q's coming down a little bit here. Pretty similar price action to the SPY, so we're not really getting strong out the gate here. Like I said, this is not going to be an easy level to break, and we're seeing a clean resistance, a clean rejection at this point in time. Looking like SPY is going to see if we can find some strength around this old gap at 672.71 and potentially just a few cents below it, 672.68. So you kind of have like a double support here. This, if the bears are to attack, it's now, at least in the early morning because of time of day, because of price action here. If we were to see a downside move, it comes now to sweep the 670.23. It would come now. That doesn't mean I'm shorting it. Let's make that clear. But this is when it would happen if it happens. So we'll give it 2 or 3 minutes. We'll see what happens here. But it's looking like we're going to get a little bit of bounce. So don't hold your breath, but we're looking okay. Q's tapped the 200 MA there, in line with the SPY. Getting a little bit of a rally here. IWM a little bit heavier, all things considering, but finding some support around the 50 MA. Now trying to get a little bit of bounce here as well. VIX had to move up a little bit, obviously. So a little bit off of that downfall there, but we'll see if that sustains or rejects. Your upside resistance is 2030 on the VIX, so you do have some room here to be abundantly clear, because we're talking about the VIX today quite a lot. 1830 is your downside trigger, so continued downside, I should say, for the VIX, so upside for the market, theoretically. And your upside ceiling, where you could break higher on volatility, is 2030. This is still, I know it's down 17%. This is way too elevated still, considering current price action, in my opinion. Way too high. I was just going to say, what the hell happened to UVXY? It had a reverse split. I'm like, whoa, what happened here? It was a reverse split. 1 for 5. Yeah, that makes sense. I haven't looked at it. I was out of the house for a lot of yesterday, so did not notice. NVIDIA looking like we're getting a little bit of a rally here. Your big key here on NVIDIA, your key LOI, this 195.62. Ooh, okay. This is good if you're a bull on NVIDIA. Hold on, I'm going to record this. So NVIDIA just reported earnings, and actually, you know what I'll do? We're going to stop that. I'm going to cover NVIDIA earnings right now. I'm going to cover why this chart looks badass. But I think SPY just broke it. Woo! Look at that candle. Look at that candle, baby. Woohoo! Hot tamales. Will it break and continue, though? We will see. We got good volume on that too. Yeah, okay, volume. IWM is not really supporting the move. Volume isn't fantastic on that. It's not bad because it's still pretty early in the morning with decent volume. Still relatively lower in comparison, obviously, to the open. But not bad. You got 425,000 on that 1 minute candle. It's pretty solid, especially considering the prior candle. So getting into that support range and bouncing here. We're going to talk about NVIDIA in a second. Actually, you know what I'll do? Hang tight, guys. I'm going to grab a water real quick because I keep coughing. So let me grab some water. Be right back. We'll watch the market here for a few minutes in case we see some that break, and we'll just play it live, especially if I'm going to trade it. And we'll talk about NVIDIA. So hang tight, and I will be right back. Should I play some... here, let's see. But hey, it works. All right. So another rejection of this key level. This is going to, when this spot breaks, it's going to be big. So we saying, bro, what is this? I have a bunch of like royalty free rock music, and then I have a bunch of like royalty free like other things. And I'm like, yeah, let's try one of these. It ends up being like a, you know, fist pump kind of ravey sound. Not ideal. Not great. Anyway, I think I might. I want to get this NVIDIA segment in, but I also don't want to miss this rally if we get it. Now, again, I may not day trade this rally. I am already long 673 calls up here for tomorrow, so I already have long exposure. And full transparency, these are technically red for my position. I have trimmed some already, but that is something. And he's saying, bro, this ain't it. I know there's a lag. It's just funny to read what you you guys are saying in real time. It's pretty good. So I may not necessarily play this as a day trade, but I already have long exposure. So just trying to be fully transparent with you guys. I'm not looking, just trying to tell you where I am and not trying to say I'm short, long, whatever. I have long exposure already. It's currently, my position is underwater. I have strong conviction it will not be underwater here. So I'm just making it known that I'm not necessarily looking to add more necessarily, because I already have enough long. I'm long enough. So we don't need to build the position any more than that. I'm pretty happy. Let's see. Just making sure I'm not missing anything big here. Some of the spreads on some of these contracts have gotten wide. I mean, it makes sense with the market moving up. We're almost up 2% on the day. Looking like we're trying to get the break right now. Can we do it? Drop some Bob the Builders in the chat. I don't know what that would look like, but if you if we have a Bob the Builder emoji, feel free to drop those in the chat. Nice, decent candle here. What's our 5 minute look like? If it loads, I will tell you what the 5 minute looks like. There we go. Ooh. Tempting. I might get us here. All right. If we back test, I will. I'll look at the 677s. I'll keep an eye on them. I might take a day trade. We'll see. If I miss the boat, I miss the boat. I don't care. I have long exposure. If I can scoop these up around sub 68 cents, that's the plan. So I'm looking to long the 677 calls on the back test if I can get them under 68 cents. Obviously, depending on volume and everything, because it could hit it and then break down underneath it. So I'm not looking to rush into it, and I'm already long anyway. So that's what I'm kind of waiting for here. If we get the setup, if we don't, it's cool. We could just rally the upside, and I'm gonna make money either way. So I'm not looking to get like too overexposed. That's kind of what I'm looking at here. Toby saying that level was perfection again. Yes, sir. That's why I share these numbers with you guys. You put them on your own chart and be like, okay, this is important. You can see them work in real time. They're not just meaningless numbers on a chart. They work. I promise you. Okay, we're coming down. Here's the back test. We tapped 69 on those contracts. I'm not. All right, so now we're in my buy range. You know what I'll do? I'm going to pick up some. All right. I'm picking up like a half-size position for now. At 70 cents. If it goes, then great. Why I'm doing half size is because there's a chance, because of how strong this level is, that we come down maybe to this LOI here. I'm sorry, this POC. That's where I'd go with more exposure, or the 21 EMA, so it's like fuchsia line on my chart, where I'd then use another half of my size here. At that point, those contracts would be around 55, 60 cents. So half size here gives me that exposure if we just go to the upside, and I can still make money. And it offers me the ability to reposition just a little bit and then go full size if it comes back down. Or worst case scenario, comes down to like 673.21. So win-win both ways here. So we'll just watch this and see if we get a nice little push here. Up about 12-15% or so. So might take a trim here momentarily. We'll see if we get a little bit of push or not. Riding the AEMA here is a good sign. It's a good sign. I need a little bit more volume, though. A little bit more volume. The VIX is still at 1950. As long as we're in this gap, so as long as we're in this spot, this is realistic, just so you guys know. And that narrative is also supported by the VIX. So a 677 call means if we tap this level, these contracts are going to be worth at least $1.47 intrinsically. There we go. Now watch the high break here. If we get it, that's where I'll look for my first trim on these contracts. And then I could slap a stop on it, you know, whatever happens, happens. Again, because it's a half size position, so because I'm lighter size, I want to allow for more room. So if it's going to run, let it run. And if it does come down, then I can reposition. So it's a win-win both ways. So I'm looking for the high a day here to break and then get a little bit of a push. Once we start to look like we lose momentum, that's where I'd go around. That's where I'd cut out or tighten up a stop, etc. And again, the other scenarios that we come down to this range here on the SPY, it's where I deploy my second half of my size here. So that's how I'm going to play this 0 day specifically. And again, I am still long the 673s for tomorrow, so I'm kind of like double exposed to SPY here. So far, we're looking good. This resistance, this key level, like I said from before market open, was clearly a resistance here, and now we're kind of flagging above it. It's sketchy, right? It doesn't look super clean. Could break, which it looks like we're testing now. But so far, tapping and bouncing above it's a good sign of that old resistance turning into new support, which is good, right? Open up underneath it, it's resistance. Breaking above it, with especially like a candle like this, and coming back down and tapping it, now turns it into support. Assuming we can get a push here very soon. So that's an assumption, but that's kind of looking like what we're seeing here on the market right now. So we'll see that NVIDIA's at that key spot too. Ooh, you got the 200 MA here too. This could be your fuel to pop the market. 195.62. 200 MA sitting there, key LOI. If we see some volume pop this here, then the market's going to go. This is probably your catalyst. And unfortunately, I don't see that happening right away. You're probably going to tap this and reject, but I'd love to be wrong. I wouldn't be mad if I was wrong on that. Just sort of consolidating here. Still respecting the EMA, all things considered, and looking like we're getting a little bit of a move. A little bit. Those contracts are at 10%. Little tiny move. All right. Next, like 3 to 5 minutes. Otherwise, it is going to come back down. Ooh, NVIDIA's right there. Right there. We're going to watch NVIDIA. I got the contracts up here in SPY right here, so you can still keep an eye on it. But we're going to watch NVIDIA right here and see if it can break through that. Like I said, I don't think it will. But I'm happy to be wrong. But I don't think it will on its first attempt, I guess I should say. I think it's going to come down, consolidate, and then go for the break. I don't know. The 5 minutes looking pretty solid, though. It could just break it and go. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, I'll call that 4, 5 taps of that LOI from above, right? So this is clearly the battleground for today. This is clearly the line in the sand for the bulls and for the bears. Lining up perfectly with where NVIDIA is. And the Qs, just so you guys know, haven't broken over this key level on the Qs at 613.18. So it's not a clean setup just yet. It was part of the logic here, especially with VIX sitting where it is, that I wanted to go half size for my position for now. And if it blows up and I win, then great. And if it doesn't, I can at least add more size, bring my cost down a little bit, where I'm now full size at a better average. Can play it that way. For those of you that like shapes, this is a flag. I'm now debating on getting more long here. All right, I'm going to add size. Right now I'm like 3/4 size. I technically averaged up. Not much. I averaged up to 0.71. Three-quarter size. For context. There we go. Watch this high a day break. There we go. There's 80. Here we go. This is the move we're waiting for here. Right, trimming some on this break here for 17%. Always sell into volatility. Always sell when there's this strong pop, strong motion, key level breaking. You want to ride that as well. So if we see continuation here, it's a good sign. If we don't see continuation here, I need to slap a stop on because this is a 0 day. It expires today. You have to play that risk differently than I'm playing my risk for tomorrow, the 673 call that's already in the money and doesn't expire till tomorrow. Way different risk approach that you should take. So that was a good little average up by me. Allow me to secure a little bit extra profit there. Come on. Come on, NVIDIA. Come on. Look. Q's right at that LOI. Very similar break to what we saw on SPY. Similar candle here. See if we get a similar price action where it consolidates a bit. I think it's going to come down, then try again. But I want to see if we kind of like flag above this LOI, just like we saw on SPY before getting a continuation here. This is the kind of, and you guys know, if you watch the program, you know I hate trend days. But this is the kind of open that we see when the market just trends to the upside all day. If this is sustainable, meaning we see these key metrics I've talked about ad nauseum this morning so far, if it is sustainable, then we might just have a rally day. It's a melt up, trotting day. Shorts are just going to start closing out whatever positions they're in across the market. Obviously, it'll affect things. What I want to keep an eye on for that sentiment, so if you're someone who's looking to see if shorts are getting squeezed in general, because arguably they've already gotten squeezed over on the overnight session and whatnot, is IWM. This is your companies that don't make any money, right, that are more risky. This typically reacts strongly, obviously, with rate changes and everything, but these are the companies that also tend to be shorted more than necessarily your Qs or your SPY companies. So if we see a strong push here on IWM, and like I said, I'm looking for a 242 today, which would be big, and it's not crazy. It's going to be another 2%, but it's not going to be a crazy move. You could get a lot of positive sentiment coming to a lot of these names right now. The way this is set up, especially with volatility, especially if NVIDIA can get over this stupid level, you're setting up for a ripper. I need a ripper sound effect. You're setting up for a ripper on the day, a day ripper. Is that a thing? That sounds inappropriate, but you're setting up for a day ripper, a ripper on the day. Oh, that just sounds weird to me. All right, we're gonna go into the NVIDIA segment in just a second. I want to see if I could trim out one more time, and then I'll slap a stop loss on, and we'll talk about it. Because I'm not really worried, but it is obviously out the money, and I'd like to capture a pop here if I could. So we're gonna wait a little bit longer, and then we're gonna talk about NVIDIA and why this daily chart looks pretty nutty, pretty good. If you are an NVIDIA equity investor, if you own shares of NVIDIA, I would not divest until at least the end of the year with how this is setting up. That's my personal take, what I would do if I owned shares of NVIDIA. Now that you're through everything with the ER and everything, I personally would not divest NVIDIA, sell any NVIDIA, if I'm already long NVIDIA until the end of the year with the way things are looking right now. That's a special message for someone out there. Here we go. Finally. All right, gonna trim again here for 37%. Next trim is going to be my runners because, again, this is like a 3/4 size position, so it's a little weird. It's not like my normal size. So I'm a little bit lighter than I normally am. So, nice, though. Took it from 71 cents after averaging up to around that like 95 to 97 cent range, which is pretty solid. I'm going to slap a stop loss on it, and we'll talk about NVIDIA. There you go. Set stop loss for break even. And then we ride that for the rest of the day. Because like I'm saying right now, I either get stopped out and I can always reposition. I can always get back in. That's something that is like not talked about for some reason in social media on the space and the trading space in general, that we can't just get back into positions for some reason, especially if you're a day trader. It makes total sense that you could get back in. So in this scenario, because of the potential upside here, especially in the near term, and I know it's a 0 day, but especially in the very, very near term, I should say, I could slap a stop loss on this, go about my business, right? Some of you guys work right now, or maybe you're working right now and you just can't actively sit at the screen and watch. You could just put a stop loss on, and if it goes down, then you're only risking your profit, essentially. Because assuming you get stopped out at your entry, or maybe a few pennies above just to be super safe, if you want to be super safe, you're just playing with profits, so to speak. So you're not losing any money. You're just risking more upside here. Because at the end of the day, you have more money than you started with, and that's the name of the game, right? Each day, you want to have more money than you did yesterday. You do that, you win, right? So putting a stop loss on, letting it go, and just moving that stop up as you go is a great strategy. I know a lot of you do that. It's a more conservative way to look at things, especially because there are times where you get sharply dropped down and come right back up, but don't play in that realm. I'd rather most of you focus on compounding those gains, locking in. Like this was a 37% gain. How long do some of you sit in a swing position? I know I do, to get a 37% gain. It's huge. Take it. Don't be dumb. Take your money, and then you can put it somewhere else. Make your money, move on. Put a stop loss on, and maybe come back to it. Whatever. The day's young. We're 30 minutes into the day. Which reminds me, what do we got? 10 likes still. Only 5 more likes, guys. Wherever you are, pop over to the YouTube channel, hit the like button. We'll extend it. Otherwise, we're wrapping things up here in about 30 minutes or so. But let's talk about NVIDIA. Hack is saying Day Ripper. There's a song out there. No, you know what it is? It sounds just like Day Tripper. For those of you that are Beatles fans. I think that's probably why it caught my ear, and I was like, it sounds weird. That's probably why. So let me pull up some notes that I took for NVIDIA's earnings. There we are. And we should probably pull up the NVIDIA chart. That would be smart. All right, we're going to compile. So what we're going to talk about right now, we're going to go over some highlights from NVIDIA's earnings, and we're going to talk about this chart right now. I'm going to try to make this as succinct as I can. I'm going to shoot for I'm going to record this. I'm going to shoot for under 7 minutes. We'll see. Just for some reason, I rattle on when I talk about earnings, and I don't know why. 1 second. Why did that pop up on my screen? Hold on. You go away. There we go. All right. The vocal cords are lubricated. We are ready to rock and roll. What you can also do, guys, because while I'm talking about SPY, while I'm talking about NVIDIA, I'm obviously not watching SPY. You could slap a take profit order, trim order, whatever, a limit sell, whatever you want to call it. Okay, let's look real quick. That way you guys know what I'm looking at here. 670. That mid 675 area seems to be a spot where there's decent liquidity. So most conservatively, 675.66. We're already going. 675.66, you might hit a little bit of a bump, which makes sense. The high day right now is 675.41. We're kind of hitting a little bit of a bump here, a little bit of cool down. But it's not just going to go straight up either. So if you want to, you could trim out a few more up here. If you want to be a little bit more conservative, or like I said before, just move that stop up, or just be patient, leave a stop on. Now, as this moves more sideways and as more time goes on, obviously your contracts can decay. There's 0 DTEs, they're still at the money, so you could get stopped out just from that alone. Or if there's a little bit of a retest, as you see those contracts are now already 75 cents. If there's a little bit of a retest there, you could also get stopped out. So Eddie said, how much ice do you have in that cup? Holy. Yeah, so when I go to the gym, I load that full of ice. Because it's like my gym water. I load it full of ice. There's a good amount of ice in here. I load it full of ice. Looks dumb now on camera. This thing, I fill all the way to the top with ice. And I put a little water in here. And then throughout my session, I just refill it with more water. Because I will love a nice icy cold water. Oh, I got stopped out. Stopped out of SPY. Well, that's convenient. But yeah, I like a cold. What I can't stand, room temperature water. You know, some people just have weird things they don't like. I don't like room temperature water. Can't do it. I mean, I can if I have to, but if there's ice available, we're rocking the ice. Now, let's get into NVIDIA. Do that. Go here. Look at like that. Alrighty. Let me pull up my notes. All right. So yesterday, NVIDIA reported earnings, and what it was there to take away? What was all the good, the bad, the indifferent? Well, I'm going to focus on 5 bullish points and 5 bearish points, or at least risk considerations you might want to have after their earnings, what their daily chart looks like right now, and why I think if you are a long NVIDIA investor, you probably don't want to sell any of your equity just yet. So first, let's focus on the 5 bullish recap points on NVIDIA. Obviously, the first thing on the list that we beat both top and bottom line revenue, or both top and bottom lines for their earnings. Revenue was $57 billion. $55 billion is what was expected, and earnings per share were $1.30, while $1.26 was expected. Obviously, a double beat is always great. With any company reporting earnings, that's just showing that they are operating theoretically very efficiently. Their number 2 bullish point, their data center, so AI infrastructure business, is continuing to be extremely strong. We're reflecting that about $51.2 billion revenue is coming through that segment, which is massive. It's their whole business right now, essentially. It's a very, very strong piece of their business, and it is still staying strong. It's got staying power, which is very important, especially with a very high growth, hyper growth kind of company like NVIDIA. And yes, it is still a high growth, hyper growth company. Point 3 here is very strong forward outlook for the Q4. So their outlook, which is, in my opinion, the most important point for NVIDIA, one of these companies that is the canary in the coal mine, so to speak. It is the most important company as it pertains to the lifeblood, I should say, of AI as a whole, right? So their guidance is going to influence so many other companies, and the fact that their guidance was pretty solid is something to write home about and something to take note of. They basically guided for Q4 for $65 billion, and Wall Street's expectation was $61 billion. So $4 more billion, which is pretty massive. Remember, we get caught up in these numbers sometimes. We look at $65 billion versus $61 billion. $4 billion is 4,000 millions, right? That is an insane amount of money that they are saying that they're going to guide ahead of expectations, which is crazy. Point 4, management continues to assert that they're still in the early innings of AI adaptation. This is great for people who are listening to the call, hedge fund investors, big money, whatever, because they want to understand the lifeblood of AI a little bit more, where the legs are really for AI and where it could really go at the end of the day. Saying that you're still in the early innings says that there's a lot more growth on the table. There's a lot more money to be made in this, as they say that there is still a huge total addressable market that is ahead of them at this current juncture. And lastly, they are continuing, and this is the best part for me, if I'm an NVIDIA long investor, I'm just saying, they're continuing to widen the moat. So they're offering more full stack AI hardware, software, systems, and it's not just microchips anymore. And that's the big thing. So it's making it harder for all of their competition to catch up. So they are really pushing a strong monopoly, all things considered, in this new hot sector, mainly due to how they're leveraging, how they're operating, right? They're not just producing the chips and say, you go have the fun. They're producing the chips, the software, and the systems. They're trying to be a one-stop shop for AI and for their AI customers, which is massive, and it makes it hard for other chip companies to get to that point. Because if I'm a business and I'm looking to pick the best, right, to do my job, I'm looking for the best company to work with, I want to pick the company that can do everything when I give them one check. I don't want to pay you for the chips and you for the hardware and you for the software. It would be great if I could pay one company, one check, and they get the job done. That is such a convenient factor for a lot of businesses. And if you've owned a business before, you understand that having one partner as opposed to 50 partners, and that's an exaggeration, of course, but that makes it a lot easier to conduct your business, right? That is a huge, huge bullet point that I took away from their conference call. Now, it wouldn't be fair to look at all these bullish factors and not look at any potential bearish factors or risk factors that I would like to highlight for you. So I pulled out 5 of the top bearish points as well. Obviously, this is one that I don't really need to tell you, but the evaluation is very rich, right? They continue to beat and guide well, so they're beating their earnings, they're guiding well, but there is an argument to be made that a lot of this good news could be priced in, right? They're trading at an insane evaluation, but the counterpoint to that is it can get more insane, right? That is negated by that early innings reference I made earlier. That would negate that the evaluation is rich. Yes, it is rich by standard metrics, but if there is so much more market for them to take in, is it rich? Hard to say. We will see. Second top bearish point is their growth rate. So it is strong, but it is decelerating compared to the past like super growth years, right? The base is getting much larger, and sustaining extremely high double-digit growth becomes harder. So as they keep growing, obviously they can't keep, there's only so much growth, right? You have one company that does extremely well, and let's just say simplistic numbers, they make $10. Now they go from making $10 to $100, right? That's 1,000% growth. They did fantastic. They went up 1,000%. But now when you go from $100 to $200, that's only 100% growth. So yeah, you made a lot more money from the 10, but theoretically your growth rate is going to slow because you're making more money. Like money doesn't, it makes logical sense that growth rate will slow down, but that fact alone could be enough to spook some people or be a bear factor, all things considered, as those percentages get smaller and smaller, even though the dollar keeps going up. The third biggest bearish point, and this is probably the one that throws a little bit of wrench in the works in general, is the China export risk and regulatory geopolitical nonsense that goes along with that. Some of the upside could be contingent on Chinese market access or the easing of restrictions. This actually technically could also be a bull point as those restrictions ease or as that market becomes readily available, that NVIDIA can get their foot in the door more. There could be an additional market for them to go after. So it could actually be a bull point. Same respect, it could be a bear point. So depending on that conversation, that could really go either way. But I'm highlighting it here as a bear point, more of like a risk factor, something to consider if you're an investor. Fourth bullet point, the AI bubble risk is real, right? The sentiment remains mixed across all of these different AI companies. And that kind of makes it muddies the water. Why I don't think this is a bear point for NVIDIA. So I'm listing it as a bear point because it is a risk, but I don't think it's necessarily a bear point for NVIDIA because they're more in the business of selling the shovels to the people digging the gold, or the pickaxes to the people who are trying to get the gold. I think because of where we are in the market, there's always going to be people who are looking to get the gold, right? There's always going to be new businesses popping up looking to take advantage of AI to make the most money possible. And I think due to this, I don't really think the AI bubble, even if the bubble popped, yes, NVIDIA would go down, obviously, but I think because there are so many other companies that should theoretically grow, right? There will be successful gold diggers, literally, in the sense. There will be successful AI companies that come up that are brand new, that aren't like Google and Meta and Microsoft. There will be other new companies that will rise through the ranks one day that could be more customers for their business, theoretically. But the fact that that bubble could burst is a more of a short-term risk than a super long-term, like we're talking years and years down the line risk. So that is a real risk in the near term. Lastly, this is also probably my second most important bear point, is the execution risk. Huge demand is assumed, but because of supply constraints, because of scaling or potential scaling issues, and because of the ongoing juggling act that is managing costs and margin, there is going to be continued pressure in executing successfully, is the word I want to pick. Not that I doubt the management team's ability to do so, but there's only so much that you could be in control of, and there could be a point where something may just, something could slip. Humans are always at the helm of controlling things, obviously, and management style. Again, not that I disagree with it or think it's bad or anything. I think they actually have a fantastic management, but that is just a risk factor. It's not necessarily a bear point, so maybe next time I won't call them bear points. We'll call them all risk factors. These are risk factors to consider if you are a bull. Excuse me. So just to wrap it up, and this is wrapping up the earnings point. Overall, NVIDIA delivered a pretty awesome quarter. They gave aggressive guidance, which as a bull, that's what you want to see. And the stock market's reflecting they enjoyed their earnings for the most part. And I think in general, the bull case for NVIDIA is going to be focusing on scale, focusing on their leadership, and focusing on going after that TAM, going after the total addressable market and gaining as much market share as possible, obviously. And your bear case, essentially, comparatively, if we're looking at the two, or your risk case, right, if I'm talking about the risk, is what if the growth slips? What if the market already priced in all of this already? What if geopolitical or regulatory issues take a hold of the stock or influence the stock negatively? So there are a few things there in general. But overall, I would still lean fairly bullish on NVIDIA, and I'm going to tell you why right now on the chart. So now that we've talked about the earnings call, let's look at the chart. This is the daily chart for NVIDIA. And we had a pretty decent melt. So just so you guys know, from the high or the recent high on NVIDIA down to the recent lows, about a 15% drop into their earnings, which is pretty substantial. We basically kind of made a double bottom here. Not exactly, I know, but pretty close to a double bottom a few days before their earnings, and now obviously gapped up on their earnings. Right now we're sitting around this key LOI of 195.62. As soon as we see a close above this level, NVIDIA should take off once again. This is why I'm saying I definitely would not be selling any NVIDIA shares. Me personally, you do whatever you want. But I personally, if I'm already long in NVIDIA and I'm already long assumedly over like 175, let's just say, I personally would not sell NVIDIA shares at least until we get towards the end of the year, because the technicals here are looking pretty solid. You're above all your moving averages. Although you are below this LOI is going to be used as a trigger for the upside. You're breaking the daily SAR here, which, again, SAR indicator, I think I made a video on this, is one of my favorite indicators. It works on the parabolic nature of stocks. And in theory, that stocks do this all the time, right? The daily SAR break tends to be a pretty sizable one, and getting that red daily SAR break to the upside will lead to continued momentum to the upside from a technical basis. On top of that, you're maintaining decent bull momentum. For those of you that watch me, you know I don't use RSI as overbought or oversold. I use it as a momentum indicator, and the momentum is in the bull's favor. Around 53 shows that the momentum is shifting towards the bull, shows that people are interested in buying NVIDIA, and that it should continue to the upside here. Mixing that with good volume and mixing that with your MACD looking like we're rounding out, crossing over here. This, in my opinion, is set up to at least bare minimum fill the gap left behind here on 11.3 to 11.4. Fill this gap and more than likely break all-time highs by the end of the year. It is very rare that I'll be this direct and bullish on an individual stock like NVIDIA. But due to their earnings, due to everything I just spoke about here, and due to this technical positioning, let me pick my words carefully here. Assumedly that it breaks over this 195.62 and has a close over this level on the daily chart, this will, in my opinion, bare minimum fill the gap left behind here, and bare minimum by the end of the year hit a brand new all-time high. It was 12 minutes, guys. I failed my mission. As I was talking, I'm like, I'm not hitting that. It ain't happening. HR saying you love room temperature water. You know, there's certain things I can't trust people with. I don't think I can trust people who love room temperature water. It's a little, as the kids would say, sus. All right, what did we miss with SPY? So SPY came all the way back down. That was an excellent stop. Good job. Stopped out in profit. Worked out very nicely. Now we're back to that key LOI again. And now those same contracts, 52 cents. So if I wanted to get back in, I could. And I'd get a discount. So not that bad. I'm waiting. I'm not going to do anything just yet. What we could see here, so as a bear, if I'm looking at this from a bear perspective, not exactly. Don't hang me by a rope because, oh, well, the lines aren't exact. Oh, go! Shoulder, head, shoulder. Could be what we're seeing here. Getting a shoulder out here in this consolidation range, breaking the consolidation range, leaving a head, and then forming another shoulder here in this consolidation range. To invalidate this, I would look for a break above and a hold above this key LOI that would theoretically invalidate this potential head and shouldery kind of look here on the market. So I would exercise a little bit of caution here. The VIX has moved back up. Again, your upside risk here is 2030. So theoretically, we really should reject the 2030. If the 2030 breaks, then we are going to sweep that 673. I'm sorry, that 670.23. It would happen. So there is a lot of range priced in both ways here today. at this current juncture where we're sitting. It's a little hairy here. I'm still remaining bullish on the day. You guys know what I'm looking at here, but I do see, and it would be disingenuous for me to tell you otherwise. I do see a possibility of a bear move here if we fail this level and if we continue to consolidate in this little chop zone here, where we have kind of a head and shouldery kind of look, work out down to sweep that 670.23. Now, if that does happen, I will be opening along at 670.23 as well. So, there's a win-win scenario here, not being exposed and then adding your exposure where you feel right, where it makes sense to you, right? Holy crap, look at Wolf. Woo! Oh, Wolf up at 16% on the day. Oh, wowee. I don't think I actually alerted this or anything in the Discord. I think this is one I kept to myself. This one and another one that I've been cryptically alluding to. Let me see if my cryptic illusion one is working out well. I've not told anyone about that stock. One or two people have guessed it, but I've not told anyone about it. It's okay. It's okay. It's doing pretty good on the day. Nothing crazy. Doing pretty good. How's everything else looking here? Things are looking green. We pick my words carefully, because I don't want anyone to say I'm doing anything potentially illegal. We should go up if we hold this level. That is what I can legally say. Looking at everything on the chart go up if this level hold. You're welcome. Toby saying this guy's not going to stop yapping. You come here for the yaps, Toby. That's why you're here. You love the yaps. The yaps are what make this program different than anyone else. If you want to not listen to yaps, you can go over to Twitter Spaces and listen to guys go,
guys, I'm going to go long here. That's 10%.
I don't want to listen to people breathe into a microphone. We're looking at red and green lines. We're making this interesting. We're making this fun. We're making this educational. We're doing all of it. If you don't want to hear me yap, then you can listen to mouth breathers breathe into their microphones. That's not a shot at anyone in particular. I'm just being facetious. The yaps are what make this program different. We yap here. I need a little yapping dog sound effect. That would be pretty solid. I don't have those though. Yar! I just have the year. Okay, SPY looking pretty good. We're looking okay. Nice bid here. I want to see so much more strength out of NVIDIA. I know it's up 4%. It's already gapped up pretty sizably. I want to see like an 8% day on NVIDIA. I want to see this thing go to like $200 today. I just wanted it to get like stupid again. That's what I want. Will I get what I want? We'll see. We'll see. Toby says, hell yeah, I want to listen to someone explain that he hates room temperature water. Woohoo. Yeah, you do. Let me tell you something about room temperature water, Toby. Now, actually, if you actually break down water to its molecular structure, you will see that at a 65-degree Fahrenheit, of course, real freedom units, at a 65-degree temperature, the molecular density of water actually is slightly less dense than if you lower water just below freezing, around freezing at 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Water actually becomes more flavorful, if you will. I'll talk about water all damn day, and I'll make money doing it. IWM pushing the highs, looking pretty good. Qs are still not over this level. So what I'm looking for today on, and I know we're just joking around, we're having fun, but in all seriousness, what we're looking at for on the day here on NVIDIA, so for tech, right? Because it's looking like we're getting a potential here for that short squeeze on IWM that I spoke about earlier in the day, that we could see people going a little bit, especially risk off into OPEX. So if you're already short, they might be closing out shorts just to reduce risk. We could be seeing that take place here with IWM. What I want to see to spark a violent rally, though, today, and yes, more violent than we already are. Qs are up 2%, IWM is up 2.3, SPY is up 1.8. I want to see a more violent rally. What I'm looking for to get that is to see the Qs above 613.18 and to see NVIDIA break the 195.62 and rally above it. If we see those two things happen, tech is on board with a hard rally. The small caps have already been pushing, still pushing, so that should spark even more fire for the small caps, and that's only going to push the whole SPY up. Like, theoretically, you're going to cause the whole market, you're going to cause VIX to go down. It's just going to be a crazy trend day. If we can get above this level, and if we can get above this level. Toby says peak financial content. You're welcome. Microsoft does not look good, guys. It don't look good on Microsoft. Now, what I looked at the chart the other day. I'm like, man, Microsoft is kind of over here like eating glue in the corner, along with Meta, which Meta is actually, we're trying to recover here on Meta. I'm not long yet. I've talked about it on the program. I want like $50 lower. But they had that good, what was it? The good news with the antitrust lawsuit. So that was good for Meta. I'm not long yet, but it might start to round out. So if we see more rounding out here, I might open along, but I'm not long yet. But Microsoft isn't looking too good either, guys. We have a death cross here on Microsoft. We're coming down. I'm sorry, a crossover, not technically a death cross. We're coming down from the peak here off of earnings until now. I mean, you've fallen 12%, so you're in correction territory here. Can you guys see that? You can. We're in correction territory here on Microsoft. If we come down to tap this LOI here, 464.69, and we're the 200 MA here, that doesn't put you in bear territory. Bear territory is minus 20%. So you're still in that corrective phase, sub 10. But a 15% drawdown seems to be where tech likes it, just from recently. We looked at NVDA, it was at 15%, right? So what if big tech draws down 15% before catching a bid? Let's see if that is valid here with Meta. This is probably way bigger. Yeah, it's 23%. So Meta isn't a bear market officially. But if we go from here, look at that. Huh. I discovered something new today. Now, if we include the gap, it's much more. But if we go from right here off of earnings to now, or the recent low on Meta, about 15%. NVIDIA, from here to here, 15%. Or if you want to go over here, whatever. 15%. Huh. Interesting. For Microsoft, that would be here. Literally on my LOI and on the 200 MA. Interesting. Well, here, let's see if it works on Tesla. Here to here. That's 18. What's this? 17. All right, so a little bit heavier. That's also the golden pocket. So if we go here to the golden pocket, what's that? 16, 17? Let's test it on Amazon. I'm just curious now. This has to be more. 15%. Bro. Okay, so if big tech marks down 16%, apparently open along. That seems like a very dumb thing. But you could theoretically open along and put a stop at like whatever, like 17% would be, right? And that's also what the 200 MA is here on Amazon. Nifty. Keep that in the back of your head. I'm going to explore that a bit more and see if there's any credence to that. Huh. Nifty. Nifty, nifty, nifty. All right, SPY, where are we at? Okay, we're looking like we're rejecting my potential bear thesis here for that invert or that head and shouldery look. That's good. We don't want to double top either, so want to break the high a day and rally off of that. Let's see. Damn, we got no more likes. That's okay. I appreciate you guys who are supporting the stream either way. I appreciate it. Appreciate you taking the time and hitting that like button. I'll plug it one more time. We've got technically 1 minute, but I'll give like 2 or 3 more minutes. I'll wrap up the market for the rest of the day, what I'm looking at here, and go from there. But if we get to 15 likes, we'll do another 30 minutes. So we're at 10. So if you're listening right now, I've got 82 people listening. If you go to the YouTube app and hit the like button, we'll do another 30 minutes. And maybe we could play the SPY rally together if it happens. Just saying. I'll keep an eye on it. I'll do my little spiel here at the end of the day. I'll come back. If there's 15, we'll rock and roll. If not, see you tomorrow. So let's take a peek here at the market. So we'll go over SPY, we'll go over the Qs, we'll go over IWM, we'll go over the VIX. We'll probably touch on VVIX. We'll touch on NVIDIA. And I think that's going to set you guys up pretty good for the rest of the day. Before I get into that, I do want to remind you 2 things. 1, Middle of the day today, around whatever it was, noon 30. We have a Fed speaker and we have a White House press briefing that could influence the market. So even if we see a nice rally, we see a nice pop, whatever, obviously at least be a little cautious during that time, as any commentary said or anything like that could obviously affect the market. So at least be aware of what's happening then. That's your real, like, your wrench in the works, either as a bull or a bear. Obviously whatever happens the next hour, I don't know. We could go up, could go down. We're leaning towards going up. But that's your one catalyst driver for today. Tomorrow, really Michigan sentiment, and I believe PMI. Nothing crazy, honestly, tomorrow. So we're just going to have really OPEX, which is big enough in itself. So all things considered, we should be relatively calm in terms of news catalysts through the end of the week, as long as Trump doesn't tweet. Knocked on wood. No Trump tweets. I don't care. Good, bad, and different. I just shut up. All right. Looking at the market right now. Looking for this high day to break. Again, if high day breaks, this puts this level right here, 678.47, a very realistic possibility on the day. Going to the Qs, and we're tapping it right now. This is your trigger here on the Qs, 613.18. In conjunction with that, you're going to want to keep an eye on this 195.62. I wouldn't be overtly bullish on tech if we don't see NVIDIA over this level, even though Qs could be over this level. It kind of depends. I mean, you're seeing a solid push here on Google. Where did this go? Google's up 4%. I mean, obviously they gapped up. So unless we see another name really like pick up the banner and run with it, which Apple had a strong push in the open here. Tesla's having a killer day. So unless we see a lot of strength in the other Mag 7 names, I'd be a little cautious until NVIDIA cracks and holds over this level. If you're looking at this trigger on the Qs, which we're dancing around right now, I would just like to have a little bit more confidence in that. And as I'm talking about this, SPY is near the high of day. We'll see. As it pertains to IWM, 242.39 is a realistic target for today. It is lofty, though, meaning will it actually tap? I don't think so. I'd love to be wrong. The only way I am wrong in the sense that it will tap today would be if we see the VIX sink sub 1830. If we see the VIX sink 1830, it's more than likely going to spark even more short covering, as shorts are seeing the writing on the wall that they're in a bad position overall. And IWM should be our sentiment driver, giving us an idea of how retail stocks are doing, or how retail momentum trades are doing, but also how shorts are feeling. I know that's not what we look at the Russell for, but on a day like today, after strong gap ups everywhere, essentially, that kind of gives me an idea of if people are going more risk off to the short side, right? So that's what I'd be looking for on IWM. So we just touched on the VIX. We're going to touch back on it. We're still pretty elevated, honestly. Where are we at? A 1980 high of the day if we're excluding the opening candle. It's right here at 1993. 2030 is your lid on the VIX today. Realistically, we should stay under this. And like I said, there's a strong probability of getting a markdown on volatility to at least 1830. Now, again, VIX in the SPY or SPX, whatever you want to use, does not have a one-to-one correlation with the VIX. However, there is at least like a very strong correlation where the VIX goes down, the market goes up, vice versa. Having volatility come down would signal that traders feel more confident in the market from a literal technical perspective of looking at how VIX gets its value. I'll remind you guys again, the spread from SPX contracts, where the bid and the ask are, right? As VIX goes down, that spread gets tighter. So especially if the market goes up and that spread gets tighter, so the VIX is coming down, that's saying traders are more confident in the upside move on the SPY overall, that the SPY will continue to appreciate in value theoretically. So that's what I'm looking at here, at least on the day for VIX, to get to this 1830 level. Now from there, I really do think we continue to get crushed. Now, obviously, you see a bunch of lines down here, so there's like support there theoretically. But I do think we get crushed, if not through today, at least through OPEX tomorrow, if we see this move down to around 1750. Under 1775, above 1718, kind of puts you in that 1750. I'm just saying that for simplicity. That 1750 area before we start next week. And we're going to talk about next week tomorrow on tomorrow's stream. So come back for that. And what to look for tomorrow, next week. As for the VVIX, you're going to want to see this in a perfect world. This closes the day under 100. That's going to spark a lot of bull sentiment in general, especially if the VIX is coming down, because that's showing that the volatility of volatility is dropping, and also the volatility in general is also dropping, which are two things that would support bull narratives both ways. So if you are a bull on this market in general, like I am very openly a bull here, I want to see the VVIX come down to at least under 100. I want to see VVIX under, again, at least that 1830 by the end of the day. I don't think we get there, again, to be clear, unless we're over this level on the Qs, over this level on the SPY, and if we want to rope NVIDIA in there, because obviously it's very important today, this level on NVIDIA. I think that's going to be your full map for the day. I wouldn't, pick my words carefully, I wouldn't look for short opportunities. Here's my closing statements. In general, and I've been doing this whole week, right? There are times to be a bear and there's times to be a bull. In general, with how this market is sitting, even if you're day trading, the meat on the bone for bears right now is not that much. You will have moves like this, of course, where you could make 30-40% in a matter of minutes or whatever, but the opportunity to the upside here is far greater. So even if you made 20 or 30% on this fall, like, great, you made the money, great. But you have to understand the risk that the market, the prevailing winds of the market wants to go up right now very strongly. If you're caught offside on a short position and you're shorting where you probably shouldn't short, you could get hurt pretty bad. Reason I'm saying this is the market may be moving into a more forgiving state because it's been a little rocky lately, but it may be moving into more of a forgiving state if you're a bull, if you're buying to open calls and you make a boo-boo, or you go a little too far out the money, whatever. The market may be in a more forgiving state where it rewards bulls and it rewards call buyers, essentially. Long equity, etc. And the market may be moving into a state where it actually punishes bears. Punishes people who are continuing to short, punishes Michael Burry, who continues to pop up on my feed, and this individual has tweeted more than he's ever tweeted in his life, essentially, in the last week, that the market's going to crash and everything. Mr. Burry, respectfully, I think you're wrong. Respectfully, we're going to go to 700 by the end of the year, and I'll see you there. It's kind of my thoughts on things. I think in general, for you guys watching, I know a good chunk of you are like day traders, some of you are swing traders, and I know a few of you watching are just investors. As an investor, at least through the end of the year, I don't think you have anything to worry about. Make that abundantly clear. Unless there's a strong news catalyst that we're not expecting, someone drops a nuke, something crazy, right? Assuming the waters are calm, I should say. I think we're on point for at least a $25 push here on the SPY. So the overall market more than likely is going to proceed to the upside, in my opinion. For swing traders, I think if you're targeting options contracts that are greater than December, bare minimum December, but greater than December, you'll be able to capture larger gains on the market through overnight moves. Look at today for an example on the SPY, $12 move, right? I think you're going to have greater opportunities, and this is on individual names, where a lot of the meat of the money here, especially on retail-focused names, right? I know a lot of you trade those. Any names that have any hype or momentum behind them are going to be making their moves in the overnight session, a lot of them. So you want to consider having a lot of time on your contract, even if you're paying more money, because it's going to allow you to take advantage of the full move or capture more of the meat of the move in general. And for my day traders, there could be scenarios in which you consider a put position, right? I would ask that instead of you considering the put position in this specific environment, you are more patient. And even if it works out, right? Even if I took a put position, or I was considering a put position here and I didn't take it, instead of taking the bear position on this move, I would rather wait out and sniff out the long position, because the long position, at least in this market, in my opinion, will make you more money. Let's just see real quick. If I shorted the high a day here, and let's assume I got out all the way at the lows, that is a 0.39 move. Okay. Hold on. So that's a 0.3839 move. Now, if I longed the lows and went to the high a day, which again, the day's not over, so we'll see. So far, 0.41. So far, it would have been more beneficial, again, in a vacuum right now, and we could continue going higher, and I think we are, so take that with what you will. And assuming you shorted the absolute top and long the absolute bottom, you're making a little bit more money on a call right now. And assuming we go all the way up to here, 0.8%, $5.50 here on SPY if we hit my price target here. Versus even if we went to the downside here, so let's assume you went to, let's say you shorted the high a day here, and let's say you rode it to 670.23. Because that is a 1-to-1 to be fair. It's about $5. Point being, I think a lot of opportunities, especially for day traders, are going to be focusing more on the long side of things and focusing on where to long the lows versus just looking to short the highs and then flip things around and then take the long. I think a lot of you are going to find yourself frustrated doing that if you try to do that. And this is from someone, again, who has a very, very high hit rate of shorting the market. I'm saying when the market is like this, you don't necessarily want to try to sniff out shorts. Now, if we have a strong push and everything and you want to take a short out, it's a different conversation. But in general, I think you're going to find yourself feeling very frustrated as a day trader if you're focusing on that. So I would heavily suggest you consider focusing more on the long opportunities, at least now through the end of the year. Focus on having the wind at your back, right? You want if the market's looking like we're going up, rock it with the market. Don't decide to go against the grain. That's something I personally struggle with quite a lot, and I have to reassure myself to not try to go against the grain because it's actually how I like to trade a lot. But in this scenario with how everything is looking, I would not lean bear at all on a lot of names. You might wake up one day and have a nasty wake-up call, especially if you're short equity or a margin call. I think that's going to wrap it up. Toby said an idea. Do bonus minutes for how many likes you say or percentage of a half an hour. That's a good idea. Well, I don't keep to it, right? It's 10:42. I didn't say 10:30, bye guys. I finish the show when I want to finish the show. So as soon as I'm out of ideas or I run out of content or whatever, then we wrap things up, which is going to be now. So thank you guys for checking out the show. Appreciate all of you tuning in. Hopefully you come back tomorrow. We're going to have another show tomorrow at 9:15 a.m. And I might do another surprise stream here or there or over in the Discord. Don't really know just yet, but make sure you stay tuned. Follow me on all my socials. You'll be able to know when I go live. And remember, some will say you will need an edge to trade. Well, I like to look at things from a different angle, and that's always what you'll get right here on the Atomcash angle. Have a great rest of your day, guys. And remember, precision beats prediction every damn time. I will see you tomorrow.
The time has passed, and that's a wrap. You're